Hey, it's Captain John. I am super excited. We're getting the boat ready to go back in the water, and in this video we're going to be replacing the raw water pump on our Mercruiser. So let's get on board and get to work. This boat has a Bravo 1 Outdrive on it. So the raw water impeller is actually on the front of the engine on this particular model. The Alpha drive, the impeller, is in the actual drive. But since this is a Bravo, all the Bravos work this way. The raw water pump is on the front of the engine. Now, before I even start, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check the tension on the actual serpentine belt for two reasons. One, I may replace the serpentine belt. Two, I need to remove it. And D, wait, that's three. I want to see how tight this needs to actually be when I put everything back together, because the serpentine belt needs to be removed in order to do this job. So you can see there's probably about an inch of play up and down on this. So I want to mimic that when I put everything back together again. And finally, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to take a picture of how the serpentine is on the front of the engine so I know exactly how it goes back on. Now, this engine is 4 years old and has about 400 hours on it, so we're definitely due. Now, as always, before I do anything on my boat, before I remove any parts, what I usually like to do is take this concoction of transmission fluid and acetone and put it on any nut, screw, bolt that I'm trying to remove, because this stuff is the best combination you'll ever use. Heck with your WD-40, heck with your PB Blaster. All you need is this. Now, truth be told, I've never done this before. This engine was brand new 4 years ago, so I've never actually done this job. I've done the raw water impeller on my Alpha setup, but I've never done it on this. So this is going to be a little bit of an adventure. So we're going to start off with our 5/8 on the tensioner, and we're going to get the serpentine belt removed. I'm scared that was almost too easy. Now that we got the serpentine belt off, hopefully we can get a better shot of this. This is the pulley for our raw water pump, which is right here. So if you were looking down at the engine, this is on the left-hand side. So over here is where the water comes in from the transom. So this is our fresh water connection, which comes down around to here. And if we follow this down and around, we come to this T connector, and right here we need to remove this screw so this can come off, because this is what's going up to the impeller. Looking at this, there is no way I'm getting these bolts off the back of this thing. So I'm going to go with trying to get the bolts and screws off the front and remove the entire thing. All right, so we got our 14mm socket on an extension. We're going to try getting off the two. One's a nut, one's a bolt off the front of this, and hopefully that gives us some indication as far as how this water pump comes off of here. Right there are the two things we're trying to get off, the one nut and the one bolt. And once again, here is our water pump back here. So before I take everything apart, I want to make sure that the pump actually starts to wiggle and loosen up. So I only loosened up these two bolts a little bit because I wanted to make sure that that was going to do something. And you can tell this is actually moving right now. Okay, so those two came off very easy, but we're still not totally loose because I believe we need to take off one more bolt on the front, which is the one underneath the alternator holding on this bracket right here. Now, of course, the other two down here were 14mm. This one is a 13mm. Go figure. And of course, there is a nut on the back of that screw. And I'll give you one guess what size that nut is. It's the 14mm. Yeah, that's moving a lot better now. Now, don't ask me how, but somehow I didn't manage to drop this. Of course, I haven't put it to the side yet. So this is now coming loose. The only thing we got to do, remember, we only loosened up one hose. There's another hose, obviously, coming out of this. So I got to loosen that up. Okay, so are we having fun yet? I don't think I am, but that's a whole other story. So I'm trying to figure out how to get this thing off of here. And besides the fact that it's a little bit difficult to see and there's some other stuff down there, there's 2 wires coming off of the back of this. Here's the wheel for the water pump, which of course the water pump is behind this. And then you see coming up, there's 2 wires, a gray one and a black one. So I'm trying to trace this out just to see where the heck they go, because I'm not exactly sure how they come off. I'm going to get a close-up shot of the connectors there. So hopefully when I review this, I can try to figure out what the heck they are and where they're going and how to maybe remove them. And up on the top of the engine, there's a black and a gray and a black and a gray. So I figure out we wiggle these. And when I wiggled them and I pulled, I have no idea how detrimental that is. But they were going down and they obviously look like they melted off or something. So these are just push-pull. So kind of push in, pull out. That's all these things are. So it looks like we got a gray one here and a black one towards the back. So we'll push in, pull out. Yeah, that is how that worked. All right, so there's the black one removed. And now we'll just do the same for the gray one. So 2 connectors are removed from here. And now we just got to figure out where that other hose is and how to get that off. And then this whole thing will better come out. Okay, so here's where my worst nightmare is going to begin. Getting that bottom hose off. This is just going to be the biggest pain in the ass, probably this whole entire thing. Not just getting it off, but then putting it back on. So I'll show you right now where this is and what I've got to do, and it's not fun. Okay, so I put the water pump back on so I can get to the connector down here, which is hopefully with the low light on. You can see back here, there's a 5/16 connector back there, and I'm going to try getting it loose and then pulling the pump. So then if I pull the pump and everything's loose, hopefully all the hoses come off. All right, so the good news, bad news. The bad news is the hose that I thought I finally was able to loosen up was the top one, which was the one I already had done off of the back. The good news is, though, I can now get to the bottom hose to actually disconnect this freaking thing. So here's the water pump. It finally really fell off and out after the top hose. Hopefully you can see that there. After the top hose came off. Right? So now all we got to do is get the bottom hose off, and now we can actually get to that freaking clamp. The best part of this is going to be putting this all back together. That's going to be a real freaking treat. Woohoo! Woo! Success! So this is actually what I use to get in there. The regular wrench, you know, the little open box wrenches, these, forget it, that was almost impossible to get to. It's so tight in there. So this actually worked well, and it's got a little swivel on it. So I got this one from Harbor Freight. Highly recommend, if you're doing this kind of stuff, have as many different extensions as you can get. Sometimes you got to get right in there, but sometimes if you can't get in there, you need something really long to basically get through everything else to get in there. So that's actually what I did. So when I go to put this thing back together, I probably will spare you the heartache that is going to be as far as putting this all back together. If you want to see how I put it back together, just play this video in freaking reverse. That's all you got to do. It'll be just as simple as that. But if you're finding this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Check out our channel. Maybe subscribe if you like some of the videos. It'd be greatly appreciated. Back to the mess. Okay, so now that we got that off, clearly there are 6 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 6 screws on the back of this like we thought, but there is absolutely no way in hell I would have been able to get the 6 of these things off. I mean, I don't think I would have been able to pull that off, just no. All right, so we've got our acetone and transmission fluid combo here. So I'm just going to put a little bit on each one of these, let it penetrate it. Okay, this has taken so long that the beautiful sunny day is now turned into a beautiful cloudy day. All right, so I'm not exactly sure when Mercury went with millimeter, but we need a 10 millimeter on here. So we've let this sit for a bit, and now hopefully these come off quickly. And of course, this is where we're going to need an extension. This last one right here, we need a wrench on this one because even my smallest socket is not getting in this little spot. Got all the bolts out. There's 4 that are small, 2 that are long. The ones that are long are for the 2 that are part of the bracket. One last one. We need to get this one off of here because this really ain't gonna come off very well without that one taken off also. Oh, there we go. What we want to do is also see which way this is going, because the last thing you want to do is put this thing in wrong. Before you do anything, make sure you understand, as you're looking at this, the orientation of the vanes in here. Looking at the front of this, it's going to turn clockwise. So you can see that's the way the vanes are going. So basically, as it's on the engine with the serpentine belt, the wheel is turning clockwise and the vanes are going that way. So now let's try getting the impeller out. So hopefully, I don't want to damage it too much because I really want to see how worn it is. Transmission fluid on there. It's already starting to come out. Instead of using the pliers, I decided I'd use the screwdriver, and that works so much easier with a little transmission fluid in there. There we go. And truthfully, this doesn't look bad at all. That's got 400 hours on it. We'll compare it to the new one when we get it. Maybe after all the work that I did to do this, I'll go for 5 years next time. We've got our genuine Quicksilver replacement. I didn't want to go with anything else but an OEM part, so I decided to opt up for the actual Quicksilver part. This is part number 478M01042229. So let's first compare what the new one looks like versus the old one. I mean, obviously the fins are curved and bent, which it should be, but all in all, I mean, for 4 years and 400 hours, this doesn't look too bad for 4 years and 400 hours. It looks like it's still in some pretty decent shape. I mean, I probably wouldn't have pushed it too much further. Transmission fluid and acetone. I'm just going to put some of that right in here. Put this all around. Okay, so this spins clockwise looking at it. So that means the housing would spin counterclockwise if you were to hold this still. This would have been how the impeller would have went in. Spinning clockwise this way. So I'm going to put this down just like that. I'm going to line up this. You can see there's 2 flat edges, and there's a flat edge on this. So I'm going to line this up like this, and that should be where the wheel and that meet. Now I'm going to put pressure on this and start spinning this and pressing down like that. And with any luck, it should go on just like that. And now I can spin this clockwise more, or keep spinning the base counterclockwise, just like that. You can see they're going in now. So now I can just take this and make sure when I spin it, they're all going the correct way. And now that it's on, I can just press this in the rest of the way, just like that. Now, the other thing we need to do is we need to replace our Mickey Mouse gasket here. So I'm just gonna take a screwdriver, there we go, all out. So we're just gonna take our gasket. So now we're just gonna take this, put that right on there like that. Now we've got our 6 screws. 2 of them are the longer ones, and the 2 longer ones are for this piece. And if you look how this is going to go, this is going to go on just like this. So the front and this side one, again, is how that's going to go. And then that lower one, which has got the 7th screw with the longer piece there. So what I'm going to do is just line up all the other ones, and I'm just going to get them started. All right, so we got all 4 started. It's going to hand tighten them down. These are almost all the way in already. Now we're going to take our bracket, which is going to go on here just like this. And you can tell if you get confused or anything like that. And one thing to note, this one and this one, you can see the extra rust on it from where this bracket was actually connected, and then it also lines up here to this one. So all that's going to line up. That's pretty much it. All you got to do is now tighten them all down, and you're going to be good to go. Now all we got to do is mount this back up. And if you want to learn how to mount it back up, just watch this video in reverse, because that's exactly what I'm going to do. Okay, so if you made it this far, you know what to do next. Like, subscribe, leave a comment below, and until next time, Captain John from Nautisphere, out.